All right, so I'm here with Tega Omogor. Did I get that right?
That's fine, ma. Even I don't know how to pronounce it properly.
Did you all hear that? She doesn't know how to pronounce her own name. But anyway, Tega is a powerhouse. I did not know she was a powerhouse till I heard her speak. And she was in the second cohort of As a Man Thinketh. So we're just going to go through a few questions and she'll share her testimonial with you. So, what do you do, ma'am?
I'm a substance use recovery coach and a mental health specialist as well. And thank you for the kind words, ma. I really appreciate it.
You're most welcome. But it's true. It's not a compliment. It's just restating what already is. So, what has happened with you since the last cohort of As a Man Thinketh 90-day challenge?
Okay, awesome. So when I first got in fact, just before we got in, I remember the conversation I had with you, and I
Mm,
was saying, oh, I wanted to come in, but I couldn't afford it.
mhm,
The truth is, after in the beginning, yes, at that time I couldn't afford it because I mean there are too many things that are competing for your finances. However, halfway through, I told myself that you could have afforded this thing if you really wanted to. It was just a matter of your thinking.
mhm,
And that hit me like a thunderbolt. At some point, I was saying, I think I owe this woman. I owe her
mhm,
because I know how much I got from it. I'm someone that most people will consider a powerhouse.
mhm,
However, when I come in contact with you, all my self-doubt and my insecurities just find a way of popping up. They just come up and then people now be like, but this lady, I mean, I perceived you to be a certain way. However, you have come across now as someone that is not even sure what you're doing,
mhm,
which brought me to understanding that the book, it was my thinking that was bringing me out. It was my thinking that was causing me to, people perceive me a certain way, but I have taught myself into the circumstance that I had around me. So
mhm,
I was, when they come close from afar, it appears like, oh, you're all that. Then when they come close, all my insecurities are popping up because
mhm,
my insecurities were screaming to get out. And it had nothing to do with what I really am capable of or
mhm.
what I have or what I know. It was just my thinking that needed to be curtailed. So it was
So,
an amazing thing for me. It was really amazing.
huh. So you're saying that's what has been happening since As a Man Thinketh, that you've realized that it was your thinking
It was
that
my
was the
thinking. It
reason.
was my thinking because I now started to understand that I was making excuses for
Mhm,
myself. I did not want to
mhm,
accept that I have come into the
mhm,
person that I am now. So,
mhm,
like I said one time in one of the assignments we were given, I'm a
mhm,
last child. And that's a last child syndrome of everybody, pampers you, takes care of you, gives you. I always wanted to be in the place of, I am being taken care of, I'm being sorry for, I'm being pitied. But
mhm,
that's not empowering. So I had to come to that point. And it was in one of those times when we're doing our meditations that I
mhm,
realized that why are you always trying to be on the receiving end? There is nothing wrong with you. You have so much at your disposal. And then that first, that I think it was the chapter on thought and circumstance that brought
mhm,
to that to that point where I realized that, oh my God, I've been the one doing myself since. So when
mhm,
people look down on you, it's not because you really are not who you are and what you really are, is because you have given them the permission to look at you like that. Is what you
mhm.
have thought, you have started to act it, and then now they're all pitying you like, hey, yeah, her life is so stressed out. Her life is so. Meanwhile, that's not true. That's not the truth.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, I was hoping that why are you all looking at me like that? I know that this is what it is. So I had given them. I had thought it.
Mhm.
It had now been exuding in my own experiences and my circumstances, and then my life was now going in that same line. It was a very liberating cohort. I
Mhm.
really enjoyed my time there.
Thank God. So, what were your thoughts on the program in terms of how you approached things when you first joined and what is happening now?
You know, when they say that you have 60,000 thoughts, 60 to 80,000 thoughts, I'm like, you can't do anything about what you're thinking about now. The thoughts come, they just come. But I didn't think, before, because we don't know that our thoughts are tangible. We think nobody can see your thoughts, nobody can hear your thoughts, not knowing that they actually are tangible and they manifest in our actions, because your thoughts influence your feelings, and your feelings influence your actions. So I didn't know my thoughts were that obvious. I thought that you can hide your thoughts, the things that you are dealing with, or the things that are coming to your mind, you can't stop them. They can just be an array. But I realized now that I needed to be conscious. There's something you always said, catch your thinking. I needed to be conscious of the thoughts that were going through my mind. I may not be conscious of the 80,000 thoughts. The domineering ones that have found a way to manifest in my life, I can catch them when they come and stop them. And that is something that I held on to. And that's what is helping me now, as after I have come out of there. I realized that, like I said earlier, I had always thought that I was a needy child, someone to always be given, someone to always be pampered. I had not realized that I need to take responsibility for my thoughts, for my feelings, and then my actions. So it's been an amazing time, because now a lot of work that I could have done maybe 2 years ago, I'm coming into doing them now.
Wow.
So I left. I am, we had the intentions that we put in the group. And because we put those intentions there, and in the meditation, there were times when you would tell us that we should see ourselves doing those things. So I used to look at myself, and it used to be very faint. I didn't have proper pictures, but constant practice has helped me to have those proper pictures. And guess what? Many people are coming into realization. By next year, there are quite a number of things that I have always thought I can do, then I push aside. I can do, then I push aside, and I say, no, it's not for me. I'm not supposed to do things like that. They're going to come into fruition by January. I put a date, an intentional date, because I have visualized myself, taught myself into that place. And so they're going to be all parts. I don't want to let out the cat out of the bag. So, but all of them, you will see them back to back to back. I have, okay, let me say one of them. I started a podcast on mental health. This is something I have thought I would do. And then a company called me and said I should partner with them to do it. And then the guy went quiet. And this was around April. When he went quiet, I just thought, okay, let's just wait for him. It's a job, they'll pay. And then in the middle of this, as a man thinketh, and by the way, I have done this study before.
Oh,
I never finished it, man. I never finished it. I will start, but I will leave it halfway. So that's why I was very intentional. Like, I need to complete this one. And also, that was also my thought pattern, because I didn't realize my patterns, that I don't finish things. So when he called me and said he was going to do this, I said, well, then he went quiet. So I said, okay, whenever he calls me, that's fine. In the middle of this, our program, in one of those days of meditating, I just saw myself in a flash with a podcast microphone. And I'm like, So when we were done, I didn't even say it in the group that day. I kept quiet, but I wrote it quickly in my journal. You asked us to get a journal for the empty. And then I wrote it. And then it occurred to me that, why can't you do this on your own? There are podcasts everywhere. Why do you have to wait for him to call you, to pay you? Find a way to do this thing by yourself. And then I started. And guess what? I started visualizing it and doing it. I recorded the first set. And guess what? The man now calls me by himself and says, I am ready to do this with you now. So now I'm going to have my podcast, but I'm going to be paid for my podcast.
Wow. Who gets paid for their podcast, too? Listeners, who gets paid? Wow. Bless God. Thank God. So from next year, please share the link with us so we can share it out there, because everybody needs something about mental health. So Was there anything you were struggling with before the As a Man Thinketh challenge? And what do
Um,
things look like now?
One thing that I struggled with was being able to stay still and quiet and just think.
Hmm. Wow.
It was a struggle because a lot of things would struggling for your attention. And so I used to, when you start to just be like, I beg, give it up, let's just get up and get out. There are
Mm,
things that are needed to be done.
mm,
But I didn't realize that because my thoughts were all over the place, my life
mm,
was also all over the place.
mm,
It now looks like it now looks like it's the curse of the octopus. You know, you are
mm,
talented in many
mm,
things, however, you're not able to streamline and adjust things properly.
mhm, mhm.
So since the challenge, I have realized that I dedicate time
Mm,
to staying still,
yeah.
quiet, and making sure that I meditate and I find, there was something we talked about that day when we said, when the stinking thoughts come, what do? Let them flow. And you said, no, you catch them. Make sure
Mm,
you interrupt the thoughts and then
mm.
flip it to positive. And that's what's been happening to me in recent times.
Wow.
When things want to come at me and I'm thinking, hey, what if this doesn't work? I'm like, let's stop it right there and say, what if it works?
Come on.
What if it works? And we will go at it regardless.
That's
And
right.
that's what I've been doing. And it's like a lot of wind beneath
Mm,
my wings, because when the feeling of anxiety comes, when you're thinking, what if this doesn't work? And you catch it right there, I can almost feel the relief that I
mm,
get when I say, what if it works?
come on.
And as soon as I feel that relief, I go for it. And somehow it always works. It
Mm,
always works.
mm.
So it's changed my life literally.
Amen. Amen.
Has.
Bless God. So, how did you approach this new thinking? The what if it works? How did you approach it?
In the beginning, it almost feels like you are trying to live in a bubble. As in
Yep.
life
Yep.
happens,
Yep.
negative things come. But what I now started to do was, if it doesn't work out, I immediately look at, what did I do wrong? What do I need to learn? What do I need to change? What do I need to improve on? What do I need to stop? I look at it like an ex a I look at it like what's the word? It just flew out of my head. I look at it like an opportunity, yes, to learn something new. So when it
Mm,
comes at me and I'm like, okay, it didn't really work. Instead of me to say, you see, this your new way of thinking is not making sense. Like, be realistic. I just
mm,
tell myself
mm,
that no, what do I need to learn here? What is
mm,
it that I did not do right? What do I need to add? What do I need to take out? What do
mm,
And it has helped me because, I mean, it's a positive outlook. It doesn't mean that life will not throw me challenges. Life always throws challenges. However,
mm,
what am I going to take from it? What is it going to make me become after this? Am I going to fall flat? Am I going to just
mm,
adjust myself and say, we go again tomorrow? So it
mm,
it helped me to realize that I must move from a fixed mindset to a
mm.
growth mindset.
Nice. So, how did you no, what are your goals now with this new thinking?
Hmm. Okay, so I have a facility that I need to open. And
Mm,
a few people have said to me that um, I'm over niching down because the facility I want to open is a particular. I'm not looking for the whole world. I'm
mm-hmm.
looking for a particular set of
Specific,
people.
of
So,
course.
as much as it appears like I'm over niching down, it is my goal. It's
Mm-hmm.
mine. It's not everybody's goal. It's not for them to understand. It's
Mm-hmm.
for me to understand. And I'd like to say this. It may seem weird, but I have never really had goals by the beginning of the year. We
Mm,
just come into the year and be like, okay, this year we will do programs, we will do this, we'll do that. But I had never really had goals. And all the goals I have set for next year,
mm,
I have almost
mm,
50% smashed them for next year.
mm,
Yeah. Almost. All of them. I'm looking at my journal right now. We're
mm,
almost 50% through because it is for the first time I'm able to sit and think through something.
mm.
Yes. So I have the goal to open the facility. I have
Mm,
the goal to put the podcast out. I
mm,
have the goal to also, well, I said I wanted to lose some weight, and I know that weight, I have to lose it.
mm.
Before then, I kept saying, oh no, it's hormonal, but it can be done. I know it's my thinking. So I've also got that on lockdown, and also my health. That is very important to me. I found that I can think myself through my health issues as well.
Mm, mm.
I'm holding down on lockdown as well. So it's my health and those two, and I want to have a second child. So yeah.
Oh, wow. I love your big goals. I was working with these young people yesterday, a group of young girls who approached me. And yesterday I had just one thing to share with them. I want to say it here. And that is anytime I get, because I still do, get to a point where I'm thinking on something, I'm meditating on it, and it's taking a while to show, like, why? And so I just get messed up again in my thinking, and I start thinking stupid, thinking. One thing God taught me one day, a few months back, is as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he, actually means if you can think it, it will happen. If you can think it, it will happen. So once you have the thought, that it will happen means it will be manifest in your hands, in your life physically. Because once you can think it, that means it already exists. It is in
Yes.
the invisible imaginative realm right now, but it will actually happen because of that principle. For as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. So it means, however I think, I am. It doesn't say, as a man thinks in his heart, maybe he will be like that. It's not a maybe.
Mm,
It could be
mm.
that he will be like that. Perhaps he will be like that. Where he's almost like that. He says, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. It's definite. It's clear. It's not confused, it's not convoluted, it's very clear. So he said to
That
me, if you can think it,
you
you
can
will
be.
have it. Yeah.
Yes, that's why they say we create twice. You create first in your mind, and then you create it physically. Everything, even the laptop we're using right now, was someone's idea that they
Mm,
on top or upon, that they meditated, they thought of, and they just thought, oh, how would it be to have something that you can do this and do that and do this? And
mm-hmm,
hey,
mm-hmm,
it's a reality. So those
mm-hmm,
are the things that guide me now. Think
mm,
it, just think it. And you know, it's easy to read books. I'm glad that you did the study, because it's easy to read a book and say, and tick it off and say, oh, I read this book.
mm,
However, the principles in the book, this book is a gold mine. As small as it is, you can run through in an hour. But if you study it, there is a difference between reading and studying something.
mm,
So when you study and you're able to see how this can actually turn your life around, trust
mm,
me, it's a gold
mm.
mine.
Absolutely. I agree with you. Even though I'm the one teaching it and reading, every word in the book seems to be new to me every time. I have
Everything.
it
Yes.
right next to me, like we've got to look at this every day. So just before we get to the last question, um, what is motivating you to keep on going on this thinking right journey?
I'm seeing how my life is turning around right before my eyes. Right
Come
before
on.
my eyes. And it's not even a joke. In the beginning, it may seem like, okay, it's just, when I tell people, I say baby steps. You take baby steps and you see that you're going, and you just keep going because you
Mm,
see it's working. So
mm,
when I see, I mean, if by the time I come into, like, when I look at the pictures that I took from the podcast, I'm like, this thing is the reality. So
mm.
and it's here. It motivates me to say, if I thought this one and it has come to pass, what can't I think to come to pass?
Come on. Correct. An open check based on John 15, verse 7. Whatsoever you ask, it shall be done for you.
Yes,
Whatsoever.
shall have what you say. And there's something else you did
Yes.
with the affirmations. That was something that was really beautiful. So
Mm,
even when affirming, I'm not just affirming empty words. My eyes are closed when I affirm these days, because
mm,
as I'm
mm.
affirming, I am seeing what
Seen. Come on.
it happened to me. That there was a time that long time ago, I remember I always wanted to, before I had my baby, I used to say, oh, I look forward to when I will go and do school runs, and I'll be wearing a black jacket with black pants, and I'll tell them, oh, I'm running for a meeting. And then I didn't know anything about as a man thinketh and visualization and all of that. And I went to drop my son in school, and they were telling me to please come and take a picture. They wanted to take a picture. They wanted to do something in school. And I said, I'm sorry, I don't have the time. I have to go for a meeting right now. And as I was driving off, I looked at myself. It was like, I just remembered, and I looked at myself wearing a black two-piece. And I said, this is it. And so it strengthened what we learned also. I had created it first in my mind, by my meditation and my words, and then look at it right in front of me. Those things are the things that just tell you that these things work. Is working. It's working.
It does work, yeah. And finally, thank you for that. That's what keeps me going too. And now, crazy, outlandish dreams, visions, ideas, they are not crazy anymore. They're like, hey, if I can think it, and I am, it will happen, and it will. Oh my goodness. So I just rush back. It helps me to rush back to meditate. And one thing you said just created a new sentence for me. You were born to think. When you said, I didn't even know anything about, as a man thinketh, but I kept seeing myself in black top, black pants, dropping my kid at school, say, sorry, I can't wait. I can't stay. We were all created to think. We are thinkers. In fact, God who created us in his image, he thought the world into existence, into physical existence. Because in Genesis chapter 1, verse 2, he said, and the Spirit of God moved over the face of the waters. That word moved means mused. He brooded. He was thinking, was meditating. He didn't say, oh my God, the earth is without form and void. What am I going to do? Let's start praying. Let me pray. Let me command it. Let me affirm. No, the first thing he did was enter into a place of rest, stillness, and he was seeing what he wanted to be. You can do that for your day on a daily basis. Once you have, meetings in your diary or whatever, or you have ideas, see it first. Move over the chaotic mess so that you will see what you want it to look like before it actually happens. So that when you go there, it will happen the way you've seen. Because that's what happened with God. Since you're in his image, that's exactly how you operate as well. You too, you're a thinker. And so when he said, let there be light, and the Bible says, and he looked to see if it was good. I said, how can you look to see if something is good when it has never shown up before? You don't know what good looks like until you have seen it before. And I heard the Holy Spirit say to me, what do you think I was seeing when I was moving over the face of the waters? I saw it the way I want it to be. That's what I called when I said, let there be light. And I looked to ensure that what I had seen is what is showing up now. So I knew what good looked like before it showed up. Oh, I said, that's the way to go.
That's beautiful.
Know what it looks like before you speak it. And so you're expecting that beauty. And something I've also noticed is the more you meditate on it, the more you refine it. You think of another way it can show up. You say, yeah, I prefer this color. No, I prefer this design. Or maybe you see a house and you look, oh my gosh, I didn't want three BQs. I just wanted one on the right and one on the left of my house. And you see a picture of somebody with like 4 BQs behind, 2 BQs on the left. You say, that's what I want. And it grows and it gets bigger and stronger. And your thinking, your imagination, your vision, the pictures just change. That I prefer this. I prefer this. It's beautiful. That's as far as I'm concerned, that is the life he has called us to live, and that life abundantly. That's it. That's abundance. So our final question. People listening to this testimonial are two types. The first type of people are those who have worked with me before or are working with me now. And the other people are those who want to work with me or are thinking of working with me. What would you say to the first group, those who are already working with me? And what would you say to the second group, those who are thinking of working with me?
Okay, so to the first group, I'd like to say that you're one of the most, favored people, blessed people, privileged people to actually be working with Coach Kemi, because if you want to come in with anyhowness, you would know that you need to put yourself together. And they say how you do one thing is how you do everything. You find that everything starts trying to fall in place, like ducks in a row. So you are one of the most privileged people to be working with her right now. It will help you with a lot of putting things into check. And people that love to work with Coach Kemi, I'd like to tell you that you need to be ready because life is in session. You need to be present. And working with her, you must be present. You cannot do it and do it haphazardly. So if you're ready, put your life in shape and be present while life is in session. Get in the room. And I don't see why you should not want to be in session when your life is on, because it's day one today, and then it's day 90 someday else. And then you now start wondering, what have I done with 89 days? You need to be there and be present and be conscious, unless you would think your life is supposed to go around in circles. However, there is a path that you need to follow. Get in the room.
Thank you. And finally, where can people find you? Tell us exactly what you do, who you work with, and where they can find you in terms of your social media contacts.
Okay, so I work with people who are in active addiction and want to get and maintain their sobriety. So maybe someone has gone through inpatient treatments and you're trying to get a therapist that will help you with the next 90 days after getting out, so that you can
When you say addiction to anything or a specific substance?
Mostly substance use. Addiction to anything, but mostly substance use. The principles are more or less the same, but mostly substance use. So yes, and then all my handles are at Tega Omogor, TEGA OMOGOR. All my handles are that. So I also help people that are having mental health disorders. I'm also a therapist, help people go from, mental health disorders to getting to a point where they can thrive despite having the things that life is throwing at them.
Thank you so very much, Tega. I really appreciate this. I will end the recording now. Just a second.